There comes a moment, often in quiet, often when the world has gone still, when a question rises that logic alone cannot answer. Not a dramatic question, not a frightening one, but a gentle, persistent wondering. If consciousness truly ends, why does love remain so vivid? Why do people feel presence when no one is there? Why do moments of guidance arrive without language, without sound, yet with unmistakable clarity? Edgar Cayce said these questions are not signs of confusion, they are signs of remembrance, because according to Cayce, what separates worlds is not distance, not judgment, and not death. It is something far more subtle, a veil, not a wall, not a gate, not a place, but a shift in awareness, a difference in how consciousness perceives itself. And once that is understood, the fear around death begins to soften, and something deeper takes its place. Understanding. Tonight we explore what Edgar Cayce taught about the veil between worlds, what it truly is, why it exists, and how it quietly shapes every soul's journey before life, during life, and beyond it. This is part 1, and it begins long before death ever occurs. Before we continue, if you are drawn to understanding the soul's journey with clarity, calm, and depth, take a moment now to subscribe. This channel is for seekers who want truth without fear, meaning without spectacle, and insight grounded in timeless wisdom. Now, let's begin. Most people imagine the veil as a dividing line between the living and the dead. Cayce taught that this assumption is the very misunderstanding that creates fear. Because the veil does not separate places, it separates states of perception. Consciousness does not travel somewhere else when the body dies. Consciousness changes how it experiences reality. Think of sleep. When you fall asleep, the room does not vanish. The world does not disappear. Your awareness simply shifts. You no longer perceive through the same senses. Time behaves differently. Memory becomes fluid, yet consciousness continues uninterrupted. Cayce taught that death functions in a remarkably similar way. Not as an ending, but as a transition of awareness. The soul does not pass through the veil. The soul already exists on both sides of it. What changes is where attention is centered. This alone reframes everything we've been taught. The veil is not a boundary imposed upon the soul, it is a function of focus. To understand the veil, we must first clear away what it is not. Cayce did not describe the veil as punishment, he did not describe it as judgment. He did not describe it as a barrier meant to isolate or abandon. Those ideas emerged later, born from fear-based interpretations and misunderstanding of spiritual process. Cayce's view was simpler and far more compassionate. The veil exists because consciousness operates under different laws depending on where it is focused. When consciousness is centered in the physical body, it perceives reality through senses, through time, through language, through emotion filtered by memory. When consciousness is no longer anchored to the physical body, those filters fall away. Time is no longer linear. Communication no longer requires words. Presence no longer requires proximity. This difference in perception creates the illusion of separation, not because connection is gone, but because perception has changed. One of the most important teachings Cayce offered, and one of the most misunderstood, is that the soul never loses awareness. There is no blackout, no void, no unconscious gap. Awareness continues immediately, but it does not continue unchanged. It adjusts. Imagine walking from bright sunlight into a darkened room. At first, very little is visible, but nothing is missing. Your eyes simply need time to adapt. Cayce taught that the soul experiences something similar. There is awareness, there is recognition, there is orientation, but there is also recalibration. This explains why so many people describe peace rather than shock, observation rather than confusion, and familiarity rather than fear. The soul is not lost, it is realigning. If awareness continues, a natural question arises. Why does communication feel uncertain? Why do loved ones feel near, yet not clearly heard? Why do moments of presence arrive without language or form? Cayce explained that communication beyond the veil does not operate through speech. It operates through thought, through emotion, through intent. And here is the crucial distinction. Thought at the soul level is not symbolic. It is experiential. When a soul thinks of love, it radiates love. When it remembers, it re-experiences memory. When it intends connection, that intention seeks alignment. The physical mind, however, is trained to receive meaning through words, through logic, through proof. This difference creates interference, not silence, translation difficulty. It is not that loved ones cannot reach us. It is that we often do not recognize the language they use. Another of Edgar Cayce's most comforting teachings concerns the purpose of the veil itself. The veil exists for protection, not to keep souls apart, but to prevent overwhelm. If full soul awareness flooded the physical mind continuously, free will would dissolve, learning would collapse, life would lose contrast. Cayce described physical life as a school of experience, and the veil functions like a curriculum boundary. It allows focus, it allows choice, it allows growth. You are meant to be here fully, not distracted constantly by elsewhere. But focus does not mean abandonment. The connection remains. It is simply selective. Edgar Cayce acknowledged that some individuals perceive through the veil more easily than others. Not because they are chosen, but because they are attuned. Sensitivity, stillness, emotional balance. These qualities reduce internal noise. When fear loosens its grip, when expectation softens, when intent becomes sincere rather than demanding, perception expands, not forcefully, naturally. This is why moments of grief, love, or deep reflection often precede meaningful experiences. Emotion opens the channel, but control closes it. Another fear many people carry is the fear of losing identity. Cayce taught that identity does not vanish. It broadens. The soul remembers its relationships. It remembers its experiences. It remembers its lessons. But it is no longer confined to a single lifetime's perspective. This explains why loved ones may feel both familiar and changed. They are not diminished. They are expanded. The veil does not erase memory. It reframes it. Many people report moments when the veil feels thin. Cayce attributed this not to coincidence, but to alignment. Times of transition, times of emotional openness, times when inner stillness outweighs fear. The veil is not fixed. It responds to consciousness, not by breaking, but by becoming permeable. These moments are not meant to be constant. They are meant to be meaningful. Edgar Cayce emphasized something often overlooked. The veil affects the living as much as the departed. When intuition is ignored, when inner guidance is dismissed, when emotional truth is denied, the veil thickens from our side. When awareness is cultivated, when integrity is practiced, when stillness is honored, the veil thins. This is not mystical, it is practical. Awareness is a skill. One reason Cayce's teachings endure is their internal consistency. He did not sensationalize. He did not contradict himself. He returned again and again to the same core principles. Consciousness precedes form. Growth is the purpose of experience. Love is the binding force. Awareness continues. The veil fits into this framework not as an obstacle, but as a function. In this first part, we have established something essential. The veil is not a wall between worlds. It is a difference in perception, a difference in how consciousness experiences itself depending on where it is focused. Souls do not vanish. Love does not end. Connection does not cease. It changes its language. In part 2, we will explore what happens after awareness fully adjusts, how souls interact, how guidance works, and why connection often deepens rather than fades. But for now, sit with this. You are not separated, you are perceiving from here. If this brought clarity, if it offered comfort, stay with us. Subscribe and continue the journey with Mystic Podcast Cruise. You are always welcome here.